Hello friends, welcome to this video. In this video, we will discuss on LeetCode problem number 166, which is fraction to recurring decimal. So here we have given two integers, numerator and denominator, and we need to return its fraction value in a string format, right? So, and if the fractional part is repeating, enclose the repeating part in parentheses. So, fractional part is nothing but value after decimal, right? So, if we found some value which is repeating after decimal, for example, in 1 divided by 3, we will return it as like 0.33333, right? So, that 33 or right, that 33 is keep repeating, right? So we don't need to just return it like keep repeating the value. We can just return it return this as like 0 point opening bracket 33 and then closing bracket like this. If there are multiple answers, then we can return any of them, and we have been guaranteed that our answer string, the result string will always be less than 10 raised to power 4. Okay, let's understand how to solve this problem. So, this problem is very similar to what we do as in a long division method, right? So you just need to know how we do the division when we were in a school, right? And that's a similar approach we will need to use here in a way of a code, right? So let's understand this with the example. So we have this example one. Okay, now you know in our long division method we have four values. One is dividend, right? So here dividend is numerator, which is 1. Then we have divisor, which is denominator, which is 2. Then we will have quotient, which is dividend divided by divisor. So here it is 1 divided by 2, which is equals to 0. And then we will have remainder, which is dividend modulo divisor, which is 1 modulo 2, which is equals to 1. So we need to return the fraction value, right? So what is the fraction value? Like that, when we will keep doing the division, we will add this to our quotient, right? At the top. So that is only the result value that we need to return. So what we will do, we will just keep appending this quotient, right? So in the result value, we will just add this 0. Now, after doing this, we will check if the remainder is 0. Then we are done here. The division is done, right? And we will just simply return this result value. But here the remainder is not 0. That means there are still some decimal value which we need to divide, right? Which we need to do a long division on the decimal value, right? So we first add this decimal point here, and then we will keep doing that division for those remainders until our either remainder is not equals to 0 or we will not get any repeating part, right? So what we will do, again the same process. So now you should know that what will be the dividend here. Dividend will be remainder into 10, right? We just add a 0 here, so it will be like remainder into 10, right? When we do a division after remainder, what we will do, we will, after adding the decimal point, we just keep adding the 0, right, at each iteration. So adding 0 means multiplied by 10. So similar thing we need to do here. So here now our dividend will be equals to 1 into 10, which is 10, and divisor will be again this, sorry, not divisor, quotient will be dividend by divisor, which is equals to 10 by 2, which is equals to 5, and remainder will be 10 modulo 2, which is equals to 0, right? First we will add the quotient in the result value. right? So we just add the 5 here and then we will check. If the remainder is 0, that means we are end of the division. We will not do any division further, right? So if remainder is 0, that means end of division, right? And we just simply return this result value, which is 0.5. Let's understand another this example. So here we will have this input as numerator as 4, denominator as 333. So same thing here as well. We will first have dividend as 4, divisor as 333, dividend by divisor is 0, and remainder, which is dividend modulo divisor, is 4. Now first we will add the quotient in result value. We will check if remainder is 0. No. So we will just do, we will just calculate that decimal values, right? So we first do dividend, we will multiply remainder with 10. So it will be like 4 into 10, which is 40. And then our quotient will be 40 divided by 333, which is still 0. And remainder will be 40 modulo 333, which is still 40. Okay, now what we need to do first, we will add the quotient in our result value. So result was like 0 point, right? We add the decimal as well here, right? So now it will be like 0 0.0. Okay. Again, the same operation we will do. So again, we will multiply dividend as remainder into 10. Now remainder is 40. So our dividend will be now 400. So 400 modulo 333, now it is 1. And 400 modulo, sorry, 400 divided by 333 is 1, which is quotient. And remainder will be like 400 divided by 33 modulo 333, which is now 67. Okay, first we will add this quotient, we will add the quotient in the result, right? And then we will check if the remainder is 0. No. So keep repeating this again. And if the remainder is repeated, like initially it was 40, now it is 67. So it is also not repeated value, right? So again the same approach. What we will do, 67 into 10, which is now 670. And then here as well, like quotient is here, what will be the value here? 670 divided by 333. So it will give us 2. And 670 modulo 333. So what will be the value here? Like 333, we will multiply it by 2. So it will give us 666, right? And 670 minus 666, 4. Okay. So first thing is we will add the remainder here. Sorry, quotient here, not remainder. My bad. Right? And then we will check, is the remainder like appeared again, right? It is. Initially it was here, now it was here. So at the point where the remainder is where the last remainder was there, so right, so it was like here only after decimal only. Initially it was right 4, right, which is right after the decimal, right? So we will just have this in the bracket. We will not do any operation now because again we will keep doing the same operation again and again. It will give us the same output, right? So we will just have it in bracket and just we will return result, right? Because the remainder is repeated. Let's understand one more example. So it is like numerator as 1 and denominator as 6 if we have like this value, right? So what will be, how we will solve this? So same approach, we will have first dividend, dividend is 1 here, divisor is 6 here. So dividend divided by divisor 0 and dividend modulo divisor is 1. So our result value, we will add the quotient which is 0. We will see that remainder is not equals to 0. There is some decimal value. So we add the decimal point and then we start the loop. So now our like this, what we will do, we will first multiply the remainder into 10 and that will be our dividend. So it will be like 1 into 10 which is 10 here, right? Quotient will be now 10 divided by what is our divisor? 6. So it is 1 and remainder will be 10 modulo 6 which is 4, right? We will add the quotient into our result value first. So result value will be now like 0.1, right? Remainder is not equals to 0 and it is not repeated here, right? It is initially 1 and now it is 4. So it is not repeated as well. Again, we will do the same operation. So what we will do, we will first check what is the dividend here now. Remainder into 10. So our remainder was 4. 4 into 10, 40. Again, the quotient 40 divided by 6. So what will be its value? 6, right? And 40 modulo 6 will give us 2, right? Or 4 maybe, like 2 or 4, right? 4. So our result value is 0.16. Now we see what that the remainder is repeating, right? So here what we will do, we will add the bracket, right? 4 is repeated, right? Initially it was here 4 and again it is 4 here. Now where it is started at this point, right? This is our last remainder and after that again it is repeating. So we will start the bracket from here after this 1, right? And we will have the sand bracket at the end only. So this is how we need to return the result value here. Hope you get it, like how we are adding the bracket. The last remainder where we will get the last match remainder, at that point only we will need to add the bracket, right? Here in the above case, the last remainder like is after the decimal only. So we added after decimal here. Now, I hope you understand how we are going to approach it, and let's do this in code now. So same thing, what we will have, yeah, one more thing we need to notice here is that the numerator and denominator range is like minus 2 raised to power 31 to 2 raised to power 31 minus 1, right? So there can be a possibility that numerator is negative, denominator is positive, or vice versa, right? So we need to have that check as well. If one of the number is negative and another one is positive, then we know that we will need to add the negative sign at the very start, right? So first we will have our this result value, right? Now we will have that condition first that if numerator is greater than 0 and denominator is less than 0, like if the signs both have a different sign or numerator is less than 0 and denominator is greater than 0, then we will just simply add the this minus symbol to start at the starting only, right? Now we will have those four variables. First one is dividend, so which will be equals to absolute value of multiplying it with one array so that it will get converted into long long. Similarly, we will have divisor, which will be absolute value of denominator. Now, why we are doing this absolute value? Because we already taken the symbols here, right? That symbol thing we have already taken care, so we can just go with the absolute value, perform this operations on absolute value itself. Now, what we will calculate? Quotient, which is dividend by divisor, and then we will have remainder as well, which is dividend modulo divisor. Now, very first step is add the quotient in the result value. So we can do like this. Result is equals to result plus 2 string of this quotient, right? And then we will check if remainder is equals to 0, then we just simply return result here. We don't need to do anything else, right? If not, then we will go to the while loop until and unless the remainder is not equals to 0, right? Now here one thing is we need to keep store the reminders, right? To check whether that current reminder already occurred or not, right? So for that we need to create one unordered hash map, which will have the reminder and the position where we added the reminder, right? The position is important to add the bracket, the opening bracket, right? Like this. Now we will check each while loop. We will first check. No, first we will add the decimal. Like if the remainder is not equals to 0, that means we need to add the decimal in the result value, right? And then we will need to add the, okay, we have added this decimal value. And anything else that we need to do? No, right? We will need to add this remainder as well in the map. Okay, now the same process in the while loop. What we will do? Dividend is equals to remainder into 10, right? Then what will be our quotient? Quotient will be equals to dividend by divisor, okay? And then remainder will be equals to dividend modulo divisor. What we will do? First, we will add that quotient again in our result value, right? Then we will check if remainder is equal to 0, that means it will already break, right? After we will all like we can have this condition here as well, that if remainder is equals to 0, then we can just simply break. If not, then we will check if it is exist in the, if it is already exist, like if it is repeating, right? So if, how can we check that if np of remainder, right? If it already exists, then what we need to do? We need to insert the opening bracket where it was repeated last, the position where it was, the remainder was lastly added, right? So what, how can we get this? So we are storing that position only, right? That remainder position here. So similar thing we need to do here, that result dot insert amp of this reminder, comma, this opening character, right? And then we will add the closing bracket at the end, and we will just simply return result, right? If not, then we will keep repeating this loop. Now when we are here repeating this loop again and again, right? So we need to again this first add this reminder, okay? And then we will just keep need to repeat this loop again and again. And at the end, we will just simply return result. That's how we need to solve it. Let's try to run the test cases. Anything that oh, what is it? 0.0.5. Why? Let's understand what we have done. We have first added the quotient here and then we have added the decimal. How come it is like this? Let's go through this code again. Result is equals to result plus decimal, right? First we add this quotient here. Initially we declared it as 0. We have added the minus symbol here. If not, then we are adding like this quotient of this here, right? And then we have the dividend. Oh, here I have made the mistake. I've added plus as well and then here as well. Let's try to run this again. Now it is accepted. Okay, let's try to submit this. Okay, it's accepted. Um, in order to understand the time complexity, so we are keep iterating this division method until and unless we don't find the remainder which is either repeating or if it is not, if it is zero, right? So for that, we have already given that we can max, since the answer string is always less than 10 raised to power 4. So the maximum time we will iterate it like for 10 raised to power 4 times only, right? So in the worst case, our time complexity will be 10 raised to power 4 only, right? So like time complexity will be here O of n. And what will be space complexity? Since we have used the unordered hash map, right, which is storing the remainder values. So hash map can be O of n in worst case, right? Hope you understand this problem and hope you get an idea how we are solving this. Please do code by yourself. You will gain confidence on this once you do code by yourself. So I highly recommend you to please do it by yourself. And if you like my video, please do share and subscribe. Thank you. See you in the next video.